Today, we'll take a look at my favorite Snake Eyes figure from my youth.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Matt and Stu Review, where we're taking a look at your favorite toys from yesterday and today. Stuart, what do we have on the table?
Today we have another retro review, so we're going to take a look at this G.I. Joe Hall of Fame Snake Eyes 12-inch figure from 1992.
Huh, all right.
So I actually bought this figure when we started the channel as something to put in the background. It really was one of my favorite figures as a youth. I thought it would make a great display when we started up Matt and Stu Review.
Yeah.
And with the recent announcement of the Hasbro G.I. Joe classified V4 version of Snake Eyes, I thought it'd be the perfect time to open him because that is the look that they went with for this Hall of Fame Snake Eyes.
Cool, yeah, I guess let's take a look. Sealed since the 90s.
Sealed since the 90s.
It's got 30-year-old air inside there.
It's got kind of yellow plastic. Like,
yeah.
That's really an old toy.
It is
I will say these seem to be pretty common. They're going for like very reasonable prices. So I'm not like, ruining the sanctity of this collector's figure. And it'll be fun to take a look at once we get him out of the package.
So now that he's out of the box, let's take a look at the figure and see what he's got going on here. So on first impression, it's very different than anything we've looked at in quite, here in the shop. Cloth, clothes, everything like that, which is kind of cool. The cut and sew on the backpack is impressive, just based on like modern day kind of stuff.
Absolutely.
I'm impressed that the elastics aren't blown out. Resolution of like the molding and stuff like that is not bad. I mean, the sculpt on the face is pretty good.
Is his head squishy there?
It's a little squishy.
Okay,
yeah,
he's got a squishy head.
He's got a squishy head. I don't know. The overall vibe of the character is just like not really big for me. I was never a G.I. Joe guy, so
he's like a Barbie, and
yeah.
I honestly, I think one of the reasons I was able to find this figure so easily is they weren't very popular in 1992.
Okay.
My grandpa was really into getting me the 12-inch reissue G.I. Joes that came out around 1992. There was like a full-size Jeep. There were a bunch of 12-inch. I think it was almost trying to hit the nostalgia of people that were 40 at that time.
Sure. Yeah,
who had grown up playing with the original 12-inch G.I. Joes, which I think came out in 1964. This was sort of a homage to that line. So I ended up with a bunch of those figures sort of because my grandpa and my uncles were into them.
Yeah, I remember you having the big, like, man Barbies when we were kids.
Yeah.
And not really being into them. I was more into like action figures, like smaller figures and stuff like that. I think my brother had a G.I. Joe, like a plastic G.I. Joe with a rubber band or O-ring waist.
Yeah, so the 3 3/4-inch ones.
Yeah.
Those were much more popular. I just had my dorky grandpa getting me the G.I. Joes that the kids didn't want at the time.
There you go.
I wasn't that into the very straight military figures, but I've always loved ninjas. We grew up in the heyday of ninjas, so this Snake Eyes in particular was like one of my favorite guys as a kid. Loved his mask. For me, because I didn't play with, the original iterations of Snake Eyes, this V4 look with his blue and black and gray has always kind of been my Snake Eyes. Now that I look at him, I mean, he's got a paintball mask on. As a kid, I thought that paintball mask was the coolest thing ever.
Sure.
Didn't realize it's just a paintball mask.
It looks like your uncle going skiing in the 80s. He's like not even a G.I. Joe. He's just like a dude in crummy cosplay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I have to say, like, one of the reasons I did like this particular line of G.I. Joes was the fact that I could change their clothes and accessorize them. Like, as a kid, man, I was making arm wraps for them to set them up for fighting, and I would be making my own little cloth accessories and stuff for these guys. They kind of gave me license to what I'm realizing now, get into my first round of action figure customization.
Quite the little homemaker you were, huh?
Yeah, I was. Perfect. My favorite thing in Breath of the Wild is changing outfits, or Tears of the Kingdom is changing outfits too. So changing my action figures look is super fun.
There you go, perfect.
We got to give this figure his due and actually look at his accessories and what he came with. So his first accessory is this machine gun here,
Uzi?
Kind of like a giant Uzi. I remember as a child it actually lit up and had a battery in it and went.
I mean,
it doesn't do that anymore.
The
Batteries are
package had
dead.
an opening in the back of it. So this is the one thing that could get worn out over time. And even the button has some fingernail damage. So
some kids in Toys R Us must have pressed that button a lot.
Yep.
He also comes with a couple of arm gauntlets, which I actually didn't remember from the original figure, but I'm sure they were there in mine. He's got this real gnarly looking boot knife here.
Yeah.
Attaches to his leg. He's got his samurai sword. I always thought the real metal dog tags were pretty cool that he came with too. So yeah, that's basically a rundown of what he comes with. He's also got this operations manual, which surprisingly has a ton of stuff in it. It has everything from how to change the clothes on the figure to recommended poses,
Military rankings.
military ranking. Yeah. Kind of a really neat little, supplemental material there.
This is actually pretty cool.
I thought so. It's like one of my favorite parts of the figure.
I thought one of the interesting things is like the base, because they can't really stand up by themselves. So they have this little base that the heels lock into. I thought was kind of cool. All the accessories, everything like that, seems like it's in really good shape for as old as it is. I did notice the clear visor on his paintball mask is like kind of smoked or fogged up over time.
I think it had been clear.
Yeah, I'm sure it was. The scale on all the stuff is super goofy, though.
Absolutely.
It's really thrown me off.
The knife is huge. The sword
trench,
is huge. This is huge.
And like, it's not like they couldn't make small things back then. But for some reason, it's just whatever. That was what they were going for.
I also get the feeling that this was meant for collectors at that time. Yeah. And I think a lot of people were probably leaving it in the box. So maybe those larger accessories display better if you're leaving everything in the box.
I can see that, yeah.
Just a thought.
But no paint maps like on any of the accessories.
No.
Like, the knife doesn't have any silver. The little like symbols on his gauntlets aren't popped, anything like that.
I bet it's expensive to get this stuff sewn. They got to save money somewhere. So maybe they save money on paint apps, for those soft goods.
The tags, I'd say the thing that bugs me the most is dog tags.
The size.
Big dog tags are just like super goofy.
They are a little goofy.
I mean, they make a good keychain or something. And maybe that was the idea, is like a kid's going to put it on his backpack or something like that.
Yeah. Well, now that we've taken a look at what is my favorite version of Snake Eyes, Matt, I want to hear your review. On a scale of 1 to 10, how do you rank this Barbie?
It doesn't hit on nostalgia for me at all. It's kind of a lame thing. I'm going to give him a 4. It's not like a failing grade. It's not a failure, but it's not awesome. I don't know. I mean, I'm going to say 4, but not like that it's an F. It's just 4 out of 10, 4 out of 10.
I feel like I have to literally sit this one out. I have too much connection to this figure and to this character. So for me, he's awesome, but I also grew up playing with him.
Gotta rank him. There's no sitting.
Okay. Well, I'm going to give him a 7 then. I'm going to give him a 6. I'm going to, action figures have gotten really good. I tell you what I'm really looking forward to is the G.I. Joe classified version of this that they announced. We've seen renders of it. We haven't seen the actual figure yet.
Yeah.
That will be one of the jewels of my G.I. Joe classified collection. Honestly, I'm waiting for this guy from G.I. Joe classified, and I'm waiting for the white pants version of Stalker from G.I. Joe classified.
Okay.
Once I get those two figures and maybe a yellow alley viper, I might be done with G.I. Joes. I might have my collection maybe complete.
I don't know, maybe the cut and sew is kind of cool. The backpack is cool. The paint on his face is like done very well. Like the detail in the eyes and everything like that's impressive. I'll bump him to a 5.
Thanks.
Yeah.
He appreciates it.
All right.
And we want to hear from you. Which classic G.I. Joe do you want to see come to the G.I. Joe classified line? This is my favorite, so we want to hear yours.
And if you like reviews and toys like these, don't forget to like and subscribe. We'll see you on the next episode.